Hi, welcome to Our Week with the Montclair Times. I'm Deirdre Malloy, and I'm joined by Mark Porter, the editor of the Montclair Times.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today?
Good, thank you, Deidre.
Good.
Plenty to talk about in Montclair, as there always is.
Yes, there is. And speaking of Montclair, which is the township namesake for the paper, we have a budget that has been approved.
The Township Council, Deirdre, has just approved the municipal budget for 2013. The budget is just shy of $78 million, $77.9 million, and it involves a 1.9% tax increase. In the Montclair Times, we give the tax assessment for the average house assessment at $505,000. Somebody would be paying $5,294 for their municipal assessment, and that includes an increase for this year of $73.92. I'm sorry, $73.42. But remember, that is for the municipal government portion of your property tax.
Right. Not for the county, not for the schools. Mm-hmm. And so that means that it could be a little higher than that.
It would be a little higher. The school district will be added into that, and Essex County, which hasn't calculated its taxes yet. The Board of Freeholders, as I understand, haven't yet approved an increase or the county budget, which we understand will have an increase. We'll find out how much it will be.
Right. And so I'm sure everyone will stay tuned. They'll be watching their mailboxes and just trying to get their budgets together
yes,
to manage the increases.
Yes, and you want to get your budgets, your assessments paid in time. If you don't, you get a penalty. As some of us have experienced when the checks did not arrive in time, there is a financial penalty for not being prompt enough. So get your payments out there to the finance department of the municipal government in time.
And speaking of remembering to do things, the township had a memorial service on Memorial Day.
Yes, it did.
At Edgemont Park.
Mm-hmm.
You want to share with our viewers a little bit about that event?
Sure, Deidre. It's a moving event every Memorial Day. The day honors the women and men who have fallen in service to the United States, there are a number of veterans who live in Montclair. There are veterans organizations, and increasingly, since we've been fighting two wars in the past decade, Iraq and Afghanistan, there's been an increasing turnout of folks showing up for Memorial Day and also Veterans Day in November. I can recall, I've been the editor, actually next month I'll be starting my 16th year as editor, and when I first started representing the Montclair Times as its editor, there were a lot fewer folks showing up at Edgemont Memorial Park for the services, both Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And the turnout this year, this past week, were easily a couple hundred people. And one person I interviewed, actually, a person in the audience, he expressed indignation. He said, in Montclair, this should be 10 times the number. 2,000, not 200 people. But then he also pointed out, and he made a very poignant observation, Deirdre. He said, but that's what the men and women who fell for our nation died for. Our right to either show up or not show up. Like we can be oblivious and apathetic and focused on football games or whatever, sports events, not football, or shopping or barbecues, and we don't have to do anything to honor the people who died, but that's our right not to show up. You know, nobody forces us with some decree or some kind of, you know, governmental order to show up in Edgemont Memorial Park.
Right.
And, you know, it's one of the many freedoms we enjoy in this nation.
I think a lot of commercialization of the day itself kind of plays into that, like with many other holidays.
Yeah.
And people become distracted with sales and things of that nature. And unless they've been personally affected by a family member who has lost their life in combat, then I can see them being distracted. But I agree that we should really pay more attention to honoring fallen men and women in the armed forces.
Yeah, and I mean, as you point out, you know, all of our holidays seem to have, you know, an absolutely commercial overlay on what they actually mean, whether it's a religious holiday or a national holiday. Everything has become sales. And I heard this morning on CBS News Radio that one of the commentators observed that there were already ads for next September's school shopping items. And she pointed out that we're still in this year's school year, and advertisers are already promoting sales for September.
Yeah, I think they're trying to improve the bottom line for whatever quarter it is they need to.
Which is important, and part of the bottom line is that new street signs have been going up around the central business district of Montclair.
Very attractive.
Yeah, and very informative.
Yes, they are.
And, you know, we've both observed those signs. They're loaded with information, you know, really to help folks coming from out of town to enjoy the business community offerings in the central business district, which is really the core business portion of Montclair. But hopefully we can get some other signs around town too, because we have half a dozen business districts, each of which are important, really vital to their neighborhoods. Central Business District, which is largely Bloomfield Avenue and the adjacent streets, you know, Pine Street, Church Street, Valley Road, Park Street. You know, they're loaded with businesses, shops, restaurants, and these signs are pointing out a lot of consequential things, and they're being erected literally as you're watching this. They're putting up more and more signs that are informative, and they tie in. Next February, we are one of the Super Bowl host communities when it's being played at the Meadowlands, and you know, we're hoping folks will come into Montclair to enjoy it, go to the museum, go to different venues, and go to the restaurants, go to the galleries, the shops, see our beautiful town. And these signs will, you know, let people know where to go, at least in the center of Montclair.
And in fact, one of the signs points to the Wellmont. And Wellmont has a article. There's an article about the Wellmont on the front page of the Montclair Times.
The Wellmont Theater, and I will, you know, we both grew up in Montclair, and I mean, I used to go to the Wellmont Theater to watch, you know, movies as a child, and the Wellmont Theater now is a music venue. And it was rebuilt and refurbished so that they could remove all the seating from the, you know, ground floor and make it a wide open venue. And right now there are no acts booked for the Wellmont after June 20th, which is really just 3 weeks from now. And that we can't get the official word on why nothing's been booked after June 20th. We know some things off the record, you know, there's like a lawsuit, there are disputes among a former owner and a current owner. Nobody will speak on the record, and you know, we'll keep sleuthing it out. You know, there's clearly some administrative concerns because the venue itself, there's no, you know, fundamental problem why music can't be performed there, or other kinds of you know, events or artists or acts at the Wellmont. But the Wellmont Theater is listed on the array of signs being installed all over the central business district, and one trusts that the Wellmont the owners of the Wellmont will work out whatever bureaucratic quandaries they're in among one another and continue to present musical acts. One of the acts, and I don't mean to say it as an act, but one of the notable people coming up this weekend is Buzz Aldrin. Mm-hmm. He's coming to Montclair this Sunday. He'll be at the Montclair Public Library in the afternoon. He's going to be at Montclair High School, which he graduated from. He'll be there at, I believe it's 11 a.m. Sunday morning. So just to let you know that he'll also be selling his new book, Mission to Mars, at the public library, and they've already locked the public out for his presentation because they've maxed out on the tickets given out or the admission given out. But after that, his hour-long presentation is completed. He'll be there signing books for folks to, who want to buy his book and, maybe say hi to a guy who grew up in Montclair before he went off to West Point and MIT and served in the Korean War as an Air Force pilot, and then became one of our astronauts and was, along with Neil Armstrong, the first two people to set foot on the moon.
Right, so that sounds like a really great opportunity for everyone, and even children who aspire to be scientists and like to go out to this event and purchase the book and maybe get it autographed as well.
And you've had some experience with Mount Hebron and
yes, STEM magnet, yes.
And STEM is
Science, technology, engineering, and math. Mm-hmm. I'm on the school action team there, and I'm also a parent of a Mount Hebron student. And speaking of the schools, Dr. McCormack has been having these listening tours and having these public forum meetings where she's been inviting the community to come in and brainstorm and discuss challenges and things that are working well. And I know that there is an article here, and would you care to share a little bit more about that?
Sure. School Superintendent Penny McCormack has been networking for months with parents, faculty, members of the community as far as what's working in Montclair's public schools and what maybe needs to be amended or improved or developed. And, it really, at least some of the summaries indicate that, people want to keep everything that's in the schools, but improve it, increase it, more arts, emphasize the STEM programs in the schools. Clearly the jobs in our nation are focused on science, technology, engineering, and math, all of which are summed up in Buzz Aldrin, by the way, who was a product of the Montclair Public Schools, and ironically went to Mount Hebron, in those days, junior high school, which is now the STEM middle school for Montclair Public Schools. And, parents want to see, things developed, and Penny McCormack is finalizing the strategic plan to the Montclair Board of Education.
Yeah, and world language is a part of that, and parents who were not able to actually go to the physical meetings that she's had have an opportunity to add their input on the township website. I've done both, actually, and it's coming together pretty good. So while everyone thinks that the magnet theme is great, that should stay in place, there are lots of improvements that seem to be coming down the pike in terms of the strategic plan. And one of the wonderful things about this past 90 to 100 or so days is that the entire community has really participated around, discussions and offering input. And I can't ever remember seeing that kind of involvement from the parents and the educators like that working together. So we just want to end on that note And I want to thank you for joining us again today.
Oh, thank you, Deirdre.
We look forward to talking to our viewers about what's going on in Montclair with our week with the Montclair Times. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.